How's it, legends? Welcome to Under Extracted. My name is Luhle and I will be hosting this series. What we essentially trying to achieve with this series is to put out educational content for you legends, our wholesale partners, your cafe baristas, your home baristas, and the general audience that's just looking to start making espresso. We'll be talking coffee, brewing coffee, and all things espresso. I invite you to join me in this young dive in the coffee rabbit hole. The goal here is to empower you as we talk coffee in the most simplest, the most approachable, and the most stimulating way possible. How's it, legends? Welcome back to Under Extracted. Today we'll be talking about how to improve your workflow. So we'll be going over a few things regarding workflow, whether it is bar setup, bar design, bar layout, the importance of workflow and how that impacts our service, how that impacts our cup, because ideally we want to make sure that our cup gets out in time. We want to keep our customers engaged at all times, but also we want to make sure our technical is done correctly. So here we'll be talking about how to be the most effective, the most efficient, while remaining consistent in the way you produce your cups. So when setting up our bar and we're designing our layout of our bar, we need to keep in mind the procedures that happen when brewing our coffee. When we get the order, how do you want it to flow? What is the procedure here? So ideally, you want to obviously start where you're going to grind your coffee, which is in the initial first step that you take, where you grind your coffee, your puck prep station, to the machine, to where you bomb out the orders to the customers. So you need to create that flow for yourself first, but how you set up your station here. As you can see on our bar layout here, we have our grinder. We do have a home barista setup here, kind of, which is cool, but we're talking mostly in the context of a commercial cafe. So we have our grinder here, we have our scale. Obviously, this is our puck prep station where we will be preparing our puck before we brew our coffee, which then flows into the machine here where we do all the brewing, and then which on the other side we start steaming our milk, and then we pour our coffee for our customer on the other side. So here we've laid out the bar. We know how we want things to flow. That's the first step that you take as a barista or even a cafe owner yourself. When you set up the cafe for your baristas, you understand the flow of things, the flow of the procedure, and then you know how we're gonna go from then on. Then we can start dialing in our workflow as a barista. The idea here is to make sure that our service is always at a standard that is high. I mean, this is a principle that we take as a roastery, as a cafe as well. It's part of the training we do with baristas, which is workflow and understanding the importance of it, especially when it comes to service. Because when you're making coffee, you're using time, you have time to play with, and usually we don't have a lot of time, especially when we have customers standing before us and waiting for their coffee. So we have time to think about, we have the quality of the cup to think about as well, which is why at the beginning of this video I use the two words of being effective and also being efficient. So when you're efficient in your workflow, you're ensuring that you get quality cups at the end each time, which then goes to consistency of your cup. So when you're effective, you make sure that your cups are getting out in time as well. So you really don't have much of a window to play with. Usually, especially when you work for high volume cafes, we have those people standing in a line waiting for their coffees, and we need to be aware of that, but also making sure that the quality of the cup, the quality of service, the engagement that we have with the customers is also as important. So it's in a way just juggling all of that at once, and that is why we need to work on our workflow. That's why we need to improve our workflow each time. So understanding how much time you take at each pot, at each component of your brewing, will ensure that you are constantly improving and getting everything out on time, and also your service is up to par and up to standard. So now we'll be actually brewing some coffee. The idea here is to kind of show you guys what are we looking at with our workflow, what are we actually doing, and what are we doing at certain times as well. Because the idea here again is to do everything in a fast manner, but in a correct manner as well. So we're going to be showing you guys what we do when we brew our coffee. Obviously taking out our portafilter here, and usually there's going to be a puck when you're in service and you're brewing coffee constantly and consistently. There'll be a puck there to get rid of. Ours is clean, luckily enough. So we have our grind here. We are using a single dose grinder, which will differ to you guys, well, most of you guys who are baristas in a cafe, where you have more of a commercial grinder that grinds on demand. So straight from the grinder, we go to our puck prep station. My coffee is already dosed. I know exactly what I'm looking at, about 20 grams of coffee in our puck prep station here. We do everything that needs to be done, again, in a correct manner, in the most efficient manner, but also we're fast with it. We are moving, we're not dwelling too much on what we're doing. There will be some differences in my setup here. I am using a home barista setup, whereas you guys will be using more of a commercial setup, more group heads with your machine. There will be steam wands on either side as well, which allows you to move in a linear way of flow, whereas here I kind of have to stick on one side here. Again, we want our flow to end at a point where we do our service, where we bomb out the orders to our customers. Here I'm just showing you guys just the flow of things. So here our coffee is brewing. Our coffee is probably going to take about 25 seconds to brew. In that 25 seconds, I've been standing here waiting for my coffee to brew. But ideally, again, we need to be doing something during that time. With workflow, we want to ensure that we maximize those dead time zones, I'm going to call it, where there's dead time where we could be doing something. So during that time, one may be pouring milk into the jug while the coffee is percolating for those 25 seconds. Moving on to steaming. Again, we're making a milk drink here, more of a flat white kind of drink. Kind of cleaning our steam wand there, getting rid of all that residue, all that water, just to get just the steam for when we do our steaming. So this could have been done all when we're percolating our coffee. That is the idea here, is to maximize the time that we have in between. Again, we are running service, we are serving coffee to actual customers, actual people that we have to interact with as part of our service. So ideally we move over from the steam wand all the time directly to when we serve our coffee to the customer. I like pouring my coffee in front of the customer. It allows me to just have another point of engagement with them, introduce engagement with the customer as we do something. As we are working throughout our flow here, we can always engage with the customer. As I pour them their coffee, I can bring it out with a smile to them. So that's about it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, stay tuned, stay being engaged on these videos. We enjoy putting out this content for you guys. We have a cool video coming up with a special guest next week. So that's something to be excited for on this YouTube channel. Some cool other content outside of and extracted as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed and you comment, stay engaged, and ensure that you guys keep up to date with all the videos that we're putting out. Cheers.